pop pop sound, and I didn't know what it was because I thought it was fireworks and it didn't make any sense. So I went to the third floor window that overlooks that street, and I could see a small sedan turned 90 degrees to the curb and an SUV like behind it but kitty corner to it. He started coming down the street again, driving, and I don't know how. And then the SUV hit him again to try to, and then that's when he stopped. ICE agent got out, tried to open the door and had a difficult time, but eventually opened it and pulled the guy out. His face was bloody, his head was bloody. And I clearly heard the victim say, "I tried to stop." Clearly heard him say that. The ICE agent that shot him walked right in front of me. And of course I was emotional, and I just let him have it. And he looked at me and he said he tried to run me over or something to that effect. I don't remember his exact words. There was another ICE agent with him that was trying to comfort him, and they walked away.
That was an eyewitness in Biddeford, Maine, watching the last moments 26-year-old Joan Sebastien Guerrero had on this earth after ICE agents accosted him early Monday morning on his way to work. The Portland Press Herald identified the shooter as David Michael Brulette of Manchester, who was ID'd via his ex-wife Ashley, who told the paper that Brulette called her and admitted to the shooting. Hi, my name is Suri Crowe, and you're watching the MeidasTouch Network. Ashley Brulette also told the Herald that her ex-husband defended his actions and asked her to lie for him and was, quote, unusually calm about it. In his head, she said his actions were justified. He sounds like a great guy, completely tracks for these ICE thugs. Here's a quick rundown on what happened.
26-year-old Colombian man, Joan Sebastien Guerrero, was shot and killed in an ICE-involved shooting Monday morning in Maine. For now, official information is scarce, but a CNN review of photos and videos of the scene offers new insight into the timeline of the deadly incident. It's the second fatal shooting involving ICE agents within a week, coming just days after a Mexican man was killed in Houston. The latest shooting happened at this intersection in the city of Biddeford. Guerrero was driving this white Kia. There's still a lot that's unclear about what led to the shooting, but here's what we do know. At 7:17 a.m., a doorbell camera from a nearby home captured the sound of gunshots. You can hear 5 shots fired in just over a second in the distance.
Is that a car?
In a statement, the Department of Homeland Security said that ICE was conducting targeted surveillance of an illegal alien. Then it says an illegal alien departed the residence in a vehicle. Notably, they don't specify whether that's the same person they were targeting. DHS says that the vehicle attempted to flee the scene, and fearing for public safety, an officer discharged his weapon. The statement did not explain why the ICE officer thought the driver was a threat. U.S. Senator Angus King said DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin told him the man was not the target of the operation. Surveillance video, which appears to have been captured seconds after the shots were fired, shows Guerrero's car entering the intersection and then slowly moving in circles. In another angle, you can see 2 federal agents standing outside the car, as one of them has his hand on the driver's side door, apparently trying to bring it to a stop. Behind the circling car are at least 2 federal law enforcement vehicles blocking the road with their lights flashing, indicating where the shooting may have started. The car keeps spinning for over a minute, making at least 4.5 revolutions. Then there's a cut in the video. When it resumes, you can see agents use one of their vehicles to stop Guerrero's car. We can see in this photo that it was pinned by an unmarked federal law enforcement vehicle. You can also see 4 bullet holes in the car's windshield on the driver's side. 2 federal agents are then recorded outside the car. One of them pulls Guerrero onto the street. He appears limp and his head hits the ground. Then officers appear to handcuff him.
2 ICE agents dragged him out of his car while he was bleeding profusely from the head. They cuffed him and left him on the ground as he lay dying for several minutes before anybody rendered aid. But he likely had no chance of survival because Brulette pumped at least 4 shots into the windshield of Guerrero's car, hitting him in the head or striking him in the head, just like ICE agent Jonathan Ross did to Renee Good in Minnesota. And don't forget that Johan's toddler was in the back seat of his car with him. This is not law enforcement, people. These are execution squads. These are death squads. It shouldn't matter whether or not Guerrero was the intended target, as DHS later admitted he was not. Where is the due process? And they don't seem to care either way. Trump's death squads appear to just be on the hunt for the kill, for the thrill of it, because this was the second time in less than a week that ICE agents shot and killed a, quote, unintended target.
Posted on Facebook that he had been shot. I recognized him immediately. Not from his appearance, but from his voice, crying for help as he lay on the street, bleeding out. I am Ronaldo Salgado, the oldest son of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo. I want to tell you about my dad. He was a hard-working family man who never wanted his name to be known by anyone outside of his family. He wanted nothing else in life but to provide for his wife and see his sons become great people.
Is this what we're doing now? Children are finding out that their parents are dead by hearing them cry out as they lay dying on Facebook videos? I mean, we know that American police are out of control, but ICE has even less training and less regulation, and that's saying quite a bit, than American cops do. So we are now living in an authoritarian state where hardworking immigrants are shot and killed as they go to work early in the morning by lawless brown shirts at behest of Stephen Miller and Donald Trump. I mean, I'm speechless. And then FBI agents apparently tried to smear Lorenzo Salgado's name by claiming that he had a white substance in his van, alluding to the fact that he may have had drugs on him after the fact, after they tore his ID and all of his personal belongings off him and rushed his body away from the scene. Like, this is so gross. This is so corrupt. This is so not the way this is supposed to go at a death scene. And then later on, of course, a lawyer comes out for the family and says, not only was it not drugs, it was salt. It was salt. As so many construction crews who work outside carry with them, they have salt, lemon, and water to mix up as an electrolyte drink when they're outside working in the hotter yet ever hotter climate change sun. And they tried to smear his name, this hardworking man who had worked in the community for 35 years. It's disgusting. It's shameful. These people, there's no bottom. There's no bottom that people who work for this Trump regime will hit. Now let's go back to the agent in Maine. His ex-wife told the Portland Press Herald that David Brulliette was abusive in their marriage relationship and that she also had concerns about his mental health. He had also been fired by the Manchester Volunteer Fire Department for getting into altercations with other firefighters. Now, does this sound like a man who should have been hired by the federal government and given a badge and a gun? Now he's killed someone, an innocent 26-year-old young man. So what about justice? Will there be any? Well, I don't know, but I damn sure tried to find out if there's going to be an investigation. I reached out to the Maine Attorney General's office to see if there is an open investigation. Here's what I found out. They sent me this statement. From Augusta, Maine, the Office of the Attorney General continues to investigate the fatal use of deadly force by federal law enforcement Monday morning in Biddeford, Maine. The man who died has been identified as 25-year-old Joan Sebastien Duran Guerrero. The Attorney General's office is focused on a thorough, truth-seeking investigation in cooperation with the federal agencies involved. We will share additional information when it is appropriate to do so. Now, I find it interesting they're saying in cooperation with the federal agencies involved, because we know that the feds refused to turn over evidence to Minnesota authorities. And in fact, as I'm reporting this right now, they have still refused to even identify Mr. Brulliette as the shooter. when his ex-wife has told the press that, in fact, he called her, admitted to the shooting and justified it. But meanwhile, DHS is like, whoa, we don't know. And they've never identified any of the other ICE agents who were involved in any of the shootings in Minnesota. And speaking of justice, let's turn now to Minnesota, where 6 long months have passed before the Trump regime was forced to turn over evidence in 3 ICE shootings, 2 of them fatal. We know Alex Pretti and Renee Good, because the Minnesota Attorney General and Hennepin County Prosecutor's Office had to sue the federal government under Trump to force them to do it. Here is Hennepin County Prosecutor Mary Moriarty.
We are now in July, which marks 6 months since Renee Good and Alex Pretti were shot and killed by federal officers, and Julio Sosa Solis was shot and injured, also by a federal officer. 6 months of relentless collective effort by our office, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and Attorney General Keith Ellison's office to obtain and review all of the evidence in these cases. Today, I am proud to announce that we have reached another important milestone in our work. Through the cooperation of our federal partners, we have obtained hard drives of previously withheld evidence in the killings of Renee Good and Alex Pretti and the shooting of Julio Sosa Solis. We have also obtained some of the physical evidence that was previously withheld, including Renee Good's car. Our lawyers are working collaboratively with the BCA, the Attorney General's Office, and our federal partners to facilitate ongoing evidence exchange. The BCA has also shared its files on these cases with the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Is there going to be a determination made possibly to bring charges against anyone involved in the killing of any of those 3 Minnesota residents?
There will absolutely be a determination. Here in Minnesota, if a law enforcement officer takes the life of a community member, it is always investigated. Nobody makes a determination of what happened until all of the evidence is in. We are sent the case. We decide whether to charge or to decline. In Minnesota, once an investigation is complete, that investigation is actually posted by the BCA or the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension online so that everybody can see it. We make a decision about whether charges are appropriate or not, and we make that very transparent as to what the decision is and why, because that's really what community members deserve from our government.
Mary, you have heard my reporters talk about the situation in Maine and the situation in Houston. Both instances, officials there are trying to obtain information from the federal government, information it took you months to obtain. What is your advice to them? And also, what is the disposition of your community now that you have that evidence, because this was so obviously traumatic for many weeks in the December, January, February period of Operation Metro Surge?
I think this was momentous for us and our community yesterday, because I think people have been losing hope that there would be any accountability at all. I don't know what our charging decision will be, but I now know that we have the evidence to make that decision. So, our community, like other communities, did not ask for an ICE occupation. And then we all saw what happened publicly. We saw the videos of what happened to Renee Good and Alex Pretti. And there was a call in our community for who is here to help us. Can ICE agents just come into our community and shoot and kill someone without any kind of transparency or accountability? So we understand what they're going through in Houston and Maine. We have actually had conversations with the DA in Houston. We stand ready to help. And I will say that's really important, because we were the first to have gone through this. And it's complicated. And we have been through it, kind of building the plane as we've been flying it. And we are here to help any jurisdiction that wants our help to understand the process of collecting evidence, filing the lawsuit to get information. So we stand here ready to help.
They were finally forced by federal courts to turn over evidence in those fatal shootings, and then the one with Mr. Solis. So pressure works, and so do lawsuits. Justice may be slow in coming, but the courts in most cases against the Trump regime are holding up. We do not count the Supreme Court. They are bought and paid for Trump shills, not counting the 3 wonderful ladies on the left. I have been in touch with Minnesota investigators for months, following up on the cases of Alex Pretti and Renee Good. And I know that these investigators and prosecutors are very frustrated, but they are patient and they are relentless, and they are now getting results. And now they have a blueprint for prosecutors and investigators in Texas and in Maine. So you see that there's a blueprint. They are now, as you heard Ms. Moriarty say, they have reached out to say, hey, how can we be helpful to other investigators? And this is why protests, and we saw the way that the community in Minnesota was freaking amazing, the way they stood up against the lawlessness in Minnesota. And this is why protests and public outrage and collective action matter. This is why the press matters. This is why every phone call that the media makes, this is why every story that we cover forces a rural sheriff in Mississippi to show his hand in a transparent, we hope, investigation into a Black teenager's mysterious death. I'm referring, of course, to Nolan Wells, also to another Black teenager in Texas, to Daniel Irving. What happened to these Black boys? What happened to them? This is why public pressure matters. We keep the pressure on authorities, on investigators, and we keep pressure on the federal government to let them know, no, you're not going to get away with these crimes and these injustices, because we, the people, deserve answers. Their families deserve and should demand justice. This corrupt regime, as awful as it is, I pray that there will be a day when it is gone, and it will be because of the millions of us and those of you who are watching did not give up, that we stuck together as communities, as people who made phone calls, who got together in our neighborhoods, in our collective action groups, and said, we're not giving in. We're not giving up. We will seek justice for all of the horrors that we are seeing unfolding on our televisions and in front of us on our neighborhood streets. So spread the word. We're not going to forget. We will demand. We will get justice. Do not give up, and keep pressure on your representatives too. All right. Peace out.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.